Hello and welcome to Too Busy Didn't Know, the weekly podcast where I bring together the best science, business, technology, and startup news and find the best 10 stories or 8 stories and bring you the headlines. I talk about it, you learn about something. We have a good time here on TBDK. And this week, if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. It might look a little bit different than normal. Moved my camera setup around. But if you're not watching, but listening instead in podcast form, welcome to the show and thank you for joining. There is a visual component if you want to check it out on YouTube. You can head over to and just look up Too Busy Didn't Know on YouTube and you can find the show. I'm Go Joe, the host. I have another YouTube channel called Go Joe Show if you want to check that out. I do a lot of music reactions and gaming stuff, just technology, all sorts of interesting stuff. And that's actually where this show started. All that aside, let's get to the top stories for today. And let me tell you, this week is a doozy of content. Yeah. So first off, Coinbase did their DPO this week, not IPO, but their DPO. And I found Brian Armstrong, the CEO's first pitch. So we'll listen to that and I'll review it as I work in startups. I thought it would be kind of fun. YouTube is still on top of their game of social media. What is that about? Don't know. We'll find out. Boston Dynamics robot dog Spot is working with the French army, and China just announced their competitor, the Alpha Dog. We've got using our hands as decryption tools for cryptography. A monkey plays Pong with its brain. CodeMiko, if you haven't heard about her, she's taken Twitch by storm. A new CRISPR technology called CRISPRoff and CRISPRon. Wax on, CRISPRoff. And push notification games, as well as Disney filing a patent for a new type of lightsaber. Let's jump right into it. What is happening this week? Let's catch you up. Thanks again for joining the show. Behind me now, you'll probably see a nice window. I believe this window is in Seattle, Washington. We're looking out of the window of a houseboat at other houseboats. Pretty clear, blue skies. It's beautiful. Again, if you want to check it out, it's on YouTube. But let's hop right into the first story here, which is Brian Armstrong, the founder and CEO of Coinbase, did his DPO this week, direct public offering, which is a little bit different than an IPO, an initial public offering. I don't really want to get into it, but if you're interested, you can look it up, DPO versus IPO. More interesting, I found Brian's first pitch here on the internet that he did while he was at Y Combinator in August of 2012. Dude, back then, Bitcoin was only $6 and now it's up at 63,000 US dollars per coin. That's quite the increase in value. But let's listen to Brian's pitch here. And I believe Paul Graham, founder of Y Combinator, is also there critiquing him. So you might hear that voice as well. But let's hear how Brian pitched Coinbase in 2012.
A lot about Bitcoin. Tonight I'm going to tell you what it is and why Coinbase is the right bet to make on it. Bitcoin is a new digital currency that lets you send money instantly anywhere in the world without transaction fees. Since it runs over the web, it's not controlled by any one country or company.
So first, he's introducing Bitcoin here, which is so funny in a retrospective, looking back on this, as we now, a lot of you know who are watching this show what Bitcoin is. Some of you have invested in it. Full transparency, I own some Bitcoin. How much? You'll never know. Or maybe you will. I don't know. It's not a lot, but I do have some Bitcoin. So he's talking about what Bitcoin is good for and kind of setting the stage for his digital wallet here. So far, it's not any different than a lot of the pitches that I used to teach when I was working at a place called Draper University. We always told them to start with a story. Brian here is starting with the story of Bitcoin and why he thinks it's going to revolutionize the world. Let's find out how he pitches the wallet.
Bitcoin is growing fast. It's already doing $2 million a day in transaction volume, and it's grown 250% this year. People all over the world are using Bitcoin to send money to their friends, to businesses, and even in the developing world. But Bitcoin has a problem.
So he immediately actually presents an opportunity here with Bitcoin and with cryptocurrencies, stating that it's growing in monetary value very quickly, and that people all over the world are using it for remittance payments and sending money back and forth without the banks watching them. And now he's also saying a problem that comes along even with this explosive growth, there is a problem to be solved here. What is the problem, Brian?
It's still too difficult to use. Current Bitcoin tools are desktop, command line based. And if you forget to back up your computer or you lose it, you've also lost your money. Coinbase is a hosted platform, which means you can access your money from any device, and you don't have to worry about security or backups.
He presents the problem that Bitcoin is hard to interact with right now because it's run on the command line. You have to know code, and if you lose any part of it or your computer gets destroyed, your Bitcoin is gone. And so there needs to be a better system, and that is what he's presenting here.
Coinbase is doing for Bitcoin what iTunes did to the MP3. We're bringing this technology to the masses and commercializing it. So how's it going?
That right there was probably his most powerful slide yet. He made a great analogy to iTunes and the MP3 about how they democratized the use of MP3s by making them much more accessible for people. And he's saying that he wants to be the iTunes of cryptocurrencies. It's a great pitch. It's a nice story. So far, he actually, I think, is doing wonderful. And he's only a minute in, already presented a great opportunity, presented a problem within that opportunity that needs to be solved, and then claimed that they had this big vision to make it so accessible for everybody.
Coinbase launched 5 weeks ago and has grown 20% a day since
I would
then.
skip the how's it going. Just say, Coinbase launched, just like, wow, take them through it. It's a very commanding talk, so you don't need.
And so right here, you hear some feedback. He was told to remove the how's it going, which is like a rhetorical question. Can be used to build charisma points, actually. But I think in this case, the commentator was right that he should lose it and just say Coinbase launched 5 weeks ago and it's been growing at this rate, because it sounds more authoritative and commanding and like we're very confident that we can continue this trend.
Okay. Coinbase launched 5 weeks ago and has grown 20% a day.
You should emphasize that a day, because usually when people say has grown,
Yeah.
right, 20%, that's followed by a week or a month, right? 20% a day. You should say that. 20.
This is some good advice on cadence right here. So we told him that he should have a longer pause and maybe draw out the drama of how well is growing per day. 20% per day is actually really, really positive growth. That's really explosive growth for a digital wallet. And so the presenter here, or the commentator, the person helping him with his pitch, the coach, is saying, hey, you should really emphasize that. So pause, maybe let it draw out a little bit, and then say a day and be really strong about it. This is good advice.
20% a day, not month. Day.
Okay. Coinbase launched 5 weeks ago and has grown 20% a day. Transaction volume.
He just followed the advice, and it wasn't as effective as I think it could have been, but he just got the advice, so maybe he worked on it and he really hammered it home, and maybe had a little bit of a pregnant pause in there before he said a day. Saying a day out of context is sounds so weird. You ever do that when you say a word over and over again and then it just sounds weird? Like you're saying spoon and then all of a sudden you're like spoon, 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 and the word just doesn't sound right. Well, that's such a weird feeling. I wonder where that comes from.
We've already processed $65,000 worth of customer Bitcoin payments. At its heart, Coinbase is a new payment network built from the ground up. We're able to send money instantly anywhere in the world without transaction fees because we're based on this new digital currency, Bitcoin. And we're growing faster than PayPal did in their early days.
That's another powerful statement, saying that we're growing faster than PayPal did in the early days. PayPal is revered for having very good growth. And so yeah, he's making a lot of good allegories here on why he thinks that Coinbase is going to be a win.
In the last 2 minutes while you've been listening to my talk, over 100 Bitcoin transactions have happened all over the world. There's something big happening in the world of payments, and Coinbase is going to bring it to the masses. Thank you.
And then he ends by saying that, hey, since I've been talking, there have been at least 100 transactions around the world. And he was only talking for, 2 minutes here. So that's actually a pretty powerful statement. It shows that there's a lot of use, that there's a lot of potential here, that people are interested in this space. Overall, that was a really good pitch, and I can see why they posted it. One, because it was pretty good, and two, it's a nice learning for other people. We won't continue watching the other 2 minutes. If you want to watch it, I linked it in the show notes below or in the description on YouTube. You can click in, listen to Brian, and let me know in the comments what you think of Brian and of my commentary about Brian's piece. But I think overall it was actually a very, very strong pitch, much better than most of the pitches that I've helped coach and that I gave myself. I think he had a winning product here and good traction, good analogies, good allegories, good opportunity and problem to solve. So I can see why they raised money in the beginning. My former boss, Tim Draper, was a big fan of this company and of Brian, so I can understand why. Very charismatic dude, good problem, good founder fit. Everything here was nice. So shout out to Brian Armstrong and Coinbase. If you didn't get in on it, it IPO'd or DPO'd today at $250 per share. So it was a bit of an expensive initial offering, but they have a pretty good use case and a growing customer, growing customer base. So it's probably going to do well over the next couple of years here. And one nice thing about them versus say someone like Amazon is that Coinbase doesn't actually own any of their digital currencies that they're selling. It's all digital currency, it's all digital products, so they don't have to actually ship anything to you. Like Amazon has logistics, Coinbase doesn't. And it's very weird that an exchange is getting listed as a stock on another exchange. Like I find that so meta and so weird. But I think Coinbase will be a good investment for the long term, even though it appeared or was priced so high in the beginning here. Next story is very quick. We're going to talk about it. YouTube, still the king of social media. Do you want to call it the king? Still on top of social media as the #1 platform that the percentage of US adults say they use. Seems like 81%, as we can see here in the graph, of adults say that they use YouTube compared to 69%. Hey, sexy times. 69% on Facebook, which actually surprised me. I think that would be lower. I personally hate Facebook and encourage people to get rid of their Facebook. Instagram is down at 40%, Pinterest 31%, and TikTok up at 21%. And I believe this is the first year they were on this listing, so they're higher already than Reddit and Nextdoor, but not higher than WhatsApp or Twitter, which is interesting. I would actually expect them to be up towards Pinterest or Instagram already, but only 21% of adults use TikTok, and maybe that's because most of the TikTok users are Gen Zers and younger, and that's why, and that adults think that it's just dance videos. Adults, it's not. You should probably get on TikTok, even though I don't like that it's linked to China. I don't use it, but it's where all the eyeballs are going. So if you want to be relevant, you got to be on TikTok, and I am not. I'm an idiot, but YouTube is still at the top, so it's okay. 81% though of adults use YouTube, and it's growing, whereas Facebook leveled off and it looks like it might even be dropping. God, do I hope it drops. Screw Facebook. So not a fan. Use YouTube, stay on YouTube. This is where all the great content creators are hanging out. You got to graduate up to YouTube. Next story. Boston Dynamics, I've talked about them here on the show before. They are a robot company. They make those creepy robots that you can't kick over. You can do it like a drop kick, like a luchador drop kick off the top rope, right on top of right into the side of the Boston Dynamics bot, and it would not fall over. You can body slam this thing and it'll turn its legs, reverse it and get up. So these things are very hard to knock over. Now the French army, you can see here, is testing the Boston Dynamics robot in combat scenarios. I also this week saw a Spot robot being used by the New York Police Department as well. So Spot was acquired by, or Boston Dynamics was acquired by a company, I think, not Hitachi, but a different electronics company acquired them. And now all of a sudden you're starting to see these little fuckers everywhere. And they've got 3 different versions. Spot is one. They've got a bigger one for like warehouse box loading and unloading. And then they have one that is more like humanoid that is also able to pick up boxes and stuff, but less heavy boxes. And military is starting to use these things. We can see here in the picture that the France military unit here has a Spot robot with them while they're doing like some sort of military exercise. Looks like I don't know if it's a bomb raid or what is going on. But this is just the beginning of these robots slowly taking over like military duties. Like I listened to a podcast and they joked that we should just in the future solve wars with robots. So the countries would just have like battle bots that went into somewhere and duked it out, and then if you lost, you got to take over the territory was now the winner's territory for the next 10 years, and then in 10 years we'll have another battle bot to settle the score, and then maybe your borders will expand. And this is the way that we should fight wars from now on, and not actually use human lives, but just do battle bots, extreme version. Who knows? With Spot being integrated into the military units and the policing units, it's a step forward towards that. And in fact, it's such a step forward and so interesting that our friends over in China have copied it with their new four-legged robot called the Alpha Dog. Dude, when I see these things, when I see the Alpha Dog robot or the Spot robot, the only thing that I want to do is ride it. I want to ride one of these robots so bad. One, they don't fall over, so it's much safer than a horse. You're not going to get flung off and fall over from the thing, tipping over. But two, it looks like a smooth ride. Like when you're on a horse and you're kind of bouncing up and down, your gooch gets all raw from all that motion. And I don't think that happens with the robot dog. I think that the Alpha Dog is a nice smooth ride if you throw a saddle on that boy. But let's check out the Alpha Dog from China. Here we get a little video taking us through a seemingly random string of technology. We had the horse-drawn buggy, and then the Apple One, and now the first Motorola cell phone. The brick from Telecom. And then now we have the first robot. Sure, that's quite the jump. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, this is just a direct ripoff of Boston Dynamics. China, you're acting like you invented this, but you done ripped it off. This is incredible. And how they're acting in this video like they're creating something that's never been done before. Guys, you're like at least 7 years behind Boston Dynamics. They didn't even show somebody kicking the dog. Like, I wish in this video that some Chinese guy would have just come up and done a nice Wing Chun kick directly into the Alpha Dog's leg, and just shown us that it would stabilize and it doesn't fall over, that it's just as powerful as the Boston Dynamics robot, and that it's able to fight on the front lines against it, dude, because that's what really China's trying to flex here, that they can take on the Boston Dynamics dog. I'm thinking that these things are going to have a real-life battle bot showdown here very, very soon. That's the Alpha Dog from China. If you want to look it up, Alpha Dog versus Boston Dynamics Spot. Moving on to the next story here. I thought it was pretty interesting science story before we get into some cool stuff with monkeys and with CodeMiko, which I really want to talk about. But now scientists in China, ironically, have figured out a way to use infrared radiation from our hands as a decryption tool. Apparently what's happening here is they have a picture that they encoded that is revealed when you shine light onto the hand and direct it at this picture on the table. From what I can tell here, yeah, you can see it. They've got this encrypted photo here on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we see a decrypted version of it where the hand is reflecting light off of it, and using the heat of the hand and the specific structures of the hand, you can actually reveal the photo that they hid on this mat, I guess. And they sprayed these mats with a special aluminum kind of spray to enable this reaction. And they're saying that they could use this encryption for the future of like opening doors, or I guess encrypting, like linking some sort of biometric placemat or encrypted, whatever they call this thing, infrared placemat to a computer, so you'd have to wave your hand over it or your finger over it, and then it would open just for you. It's like I guess a kind of a new version of a fingerprint scanner that's a little bit safer, I think. I'm really not sure why they're so excited about it, but if we look at these pictures here, I love what they're showing us. So they're showing us how dynamic our hand can be with light, and how the different how different a hand can look with light on it using the spectrum, this infrared spectrum. And on one side we got a hand that is like stop being pointed down, and it looks like the hand of God blessing something. And then in the next picture over, we have what seem to be beams of light coming out of each of the fingertips, which looks to be more like an attack. I would say that this is Master Hand from Smash Bros. Doing some sort of laser attack. And if that's sort of encryption that we're going for, I'm for it. I'd always wanted to shoot laser beams from my fingers. If I had a superpower, other than clapping and making a pancake, another one would be shooting spaghetti from my fingertips. Shooting light beams, also cool. Spaghetti, I think, a little bit cooler. Is it sauce? Is it not sauce? Is it dry? Is it wet noodles? What kind of spaghetti is it? That's up for you to envision in your mind, but I like to envision it as some sloppy wet noodles coming out of my fingertips. Take that, Ultron. Can't see anymore, but he can, because he's a robot with with infrared vision. He can probably open up this encryption tool. I don't know what it's going to be used for, but I thought it was pretty exciting, and I loved the hand of God versus the master hand comparison here. So yeah, infrared decryption and encryption. Maybe it becomes a standard in the future, and that's how we beat quantum computers. I really don't know. That's what they were saying. I don't think that that's true, but we will find out. I've got another window behind me right now in Atlanta, Georgia, as we move on to another cool story, this time about monkeys. If you're not familiar, there's a company called Neuralink, and they are developing a brain-computer interface that I've done a video on. If you want to check it out, it's called, what was it called again? It's on my Go Joe Show channel, Battle for Your Brain. If you want to look it up, it covers Neuralink versus two other brain-computer devices. And pretty much what we're trying to do is directly link our brain to computers. Neuralink is the one that is claiming that they can not only read from the brain, but also write to it, because it's an implant that replaces part of your skull. So they cut out a little square part of your skull and install this in your head, which sounds insane, but they've done it with pigs, and now they've done it with monkeys. And we can see here a monkey playing Pong. Let's see the video. This is actually incredible.
This is Pager. He's a 9-year-old macaque who had a Neuralink placed in each side of his brain about 6 weeks ago. If you look carefully, you can see that the fur on his head hasn't quite fully grown back yet. He's learned to interact with a computer for a tasty banana smoothie delivered through a straw. We can interact with the Neuralinks simply by pairing them to an iPhone, just as you might pair your phone to a Bluetooth speaker.
So they've replaced a part of this monkey's skull with the electronic device that has Bluetooth on it that they've connected to, and is actually in his brain with little probes. So there's tiny probes that are actually going into his brain, and he's right now playing a game, and he's moving a joystick to a square that's lit up on the screen, and every time he moves the joystick, which controls the cursor, over to the lit up square, he gets a little blast of banana smoothie. So ironic. Or so stereotypical, like banana smoothie. Why can't they give the guy like papaya smoothie, huh? Gotta go with bananas. I mean, we know monkeys love bananas, but I feel like they got a soft spot for papayas as well.
The links record from more than 2,000 electrodes implanted in the regions of Pager's motor cortex that coordinate hand and arm movements. Neurons in this region modulate their activity with intended hand movement. For example, some might become more active when he moves his hand up, and others when he moves it to the right.
So what they're saying right there is that this monkey, when he's moving around the joystick, different parts of his brain are lighting up. Different parts of the motor sensor part of his brain are lighting up, whether it's up or down or left or right, and that's how they're getting information from his brain to the Bluetooth. That's what they're looking for.
We're wirelessly streaming, in real time, the firing rates from thousands of neurons to a computer.
That's crazy.
Using these data, we calibrate the decoder by mathematically modeling the relationship between patterns of neural activity and the different joystick movements they produce. After only a few minutes of calibration, we can use the output from the decoder to move the cursor instead of the joystick.
So right now on the screen, if you're just listening, I'll have to explain this. They have actually unplugged the joystick and the monkey is still playing the game. And the way that they've accomplished that is that they're actually reading these signals, these neurological signals from the monkey's brain while he's still moving the joystick. So he thinks he's interacting with it, but actually the cursor is being moved by his brain because they're just watching his brain to see what would happen if they move the joystick up, down, left, and right. And I believe next they're going to take the joystick away and he's just going to play with his brain completely.
Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity.
That's pretty cool.
Our goal is to enable a person with paralysis to use a computer or phone with their brain activity alone. Because they wouldn't be able to move a joystick, they would calibrate the decoder by imagining hand movements to targets. One of the things the Neuralinks allow Pager to do is to play his favorite video game, Pong.
So now he's playing Pong.
To control his paddle on the right side of the screen,
no joystick.
Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down. We've removed the joystick altogether. Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink.
He's getting so much banana smoothie. That's all I can think of right now. Is this monkey loves
As you can
Pong
see, Pager is
because of the
amazingly
banana
good
smoothie.
at mind Pong. He's focused, and he's playing entirely of his own volition.
Yeah, now take away the banana smoothie and tell me how good the monkey does.
It's not
You think
magic.
he's going to play if they take
The
away
reason
that banana
Neuralink
smoothie?
works is because it's
I don't know.
recording and decoding electrical signals.
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you, this shit is the future. This is incredible. Imagine a Neuralink combined with an augmented reality or mixed reality content headset, eyeglass, Apple eyeglasses, plus the Neuralink. I mean, now we're interacting with stuff just by thinking about it. Mind blown. It's very primitive, but man, oh man, is this exciting technology. And they're saying that just this year they're going to start doing human trials with Neuralink. They're obviously starting with people who are paralyzed, as they said, because those people need the help and we need to enable them to interact with the world somehow. But man, we take a paralyzed person, we put them with a Neuralink with Google Translate that they can automatically speak their thoughts or translate what they're thinking, and then we throw them together with voice-to-speech recognition, and then they can just think about what they want to say and it's being said. And then we put an exoskeleton on them, then they can get up out of their wheelchair and move around, and boom, we've cured paralyzed people and made them able to live freely again. Like, this is, oh man, this is so freaking rad. And that's for a paralyzed person. Imagine doing this with a normal person. Like, that is incredible. I cannot wait for this, to be walking around outside and just think about sending a text message or think about, I don't know, opening an app on my phone and it just opens. Like, are we living in the future? Are we living in a science fiction book? Is my life being written by L. Ron Hubbard? It feels like it right now. Actually, we're all praying at the altar of Mr. Musk, because he is involved in this company. I don't like to give him credit for this company because it's not his. He didn't create the company. He just invested in it and became the face of the company. So I don't like mentioning him in regards to it, but he is involved in this company. Still, I love Neuralink, and I like to see where they're going to go. I cannot wait to see where we're going to take it in the future. It's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. And we can't stop it, people. So don't try to. The genie's already out of the bottle. We're not stopping it. Monkey playing Mind Pong for banana smoothies. I wish that every time I did good at a game, I got a little bit of a smoothie. That would be nice. Moving on to CodeMiko, taking over Twitch. It's a new virtual talk show star. You can see Miko here on the right. It is a virtual person, and pretty much what happened is that there was this girl that decided that she wanted to, and we can see her here, I believe she couldn't find a job, or she quit her job to do this, but she created a narrative around this virtual person, and she combined her animation background using motion capture technology to map this character on top of her. So now when you log onto her Twitch stream, it looks like Miko, but actually there's a girl controlling it behind her that the character is mapped on top of. It's kind of very metaversy. And then she has guests on. She has a monitor in 3D space that she talks to guests on and hosts kind of like a talk show. And when she first started, she was still kind of growing or building her setup, her rig for this kind of unique stream. And now it's so good that it moves with her mouth, that it has eye tracking. It has full motion capture, so she can actually move around and it follows what she's doing. And she kind of has taken on a personality of her own, which she calls Miko. And the whole idea is that Miko here is a game character that can't get any jobs in the game industry, like a struggling game character. And so she's resorted to streaming on Twitch to get an audience. We'll see an early version of it here.
No, my face is moving. Miko's face is moving. And that's pretty much, let me pull it back a little bit. Oops. Hi, everybody. No, my password is not 12345. Okay, that's not my password.
So this was the first time she got her facial tracking working, as we can see here, and we heard her say. And then now she's been doing clips like this. So she got on with one of my favorite YouTubers, Donkey, video game Donkey. He's this silly gamer. And so she's interviewing him, and the character now has a nun outfit on, a very revealing nun outfit, and she's taunting Donkey.
This is my drunk Haggard skin.
All right, there's more skins. There's other skins.
Yeah, this was my nun skin.
Oh, okay. All right, that's nice.
I protect the Lord.
All right, so we got a couple DLC skins available.
Yeah. Are you religious, young man? Would you like to join my church?
She slapped her thigh.
I don't.
Would you like to be converted?
This is a video game, babe.
And then Donkey's girlfriend comes in. It's good fun. If you want to check it out, I'll link to it, of course, in the description and stuff. I think this is absolutely incredible. This is definitely moving towards something that is going to happen more and more in the future. This girl is the first one to take motion capture technology and apply it on top of her Twitch stream, but she's not going to be the last one to do it, and other people are now going to want to do it alongside of her, and there's going to probably become these celebrities that are actual virtual characters being controlled by somebody in the background. I don't think that it's going to be easy for other people to emulate the success that Miko is going to see here, because she's the first one doing it. But I do think that it is going to become a growing fad of these virtual characters having their own talk shows and interviewing live people and doing this thing. It's super interesting. I love that she's doing it. These virtual YouTubers, maybe one day I'll have a virtual version of myself that's much more handsome than I am. If you want to check it out though, you can go to Twitch and look up CodeMiko. I think that she's doing something that's, like I said, very, very futuristic and at the forefront of what's possible. So far, she's amassed 640,000 followers, and her streams have about 7,000 viewers at any given moment. Like I said, I'm positive that this is here to stay and that this is a bizarre process. She also said that she invested quite a lot of money into setting up her rig. I believe her suit was $13K, and then she's got her computer, her iPhone cam, her helmet, software subscriptions, mocap software subscription was actually really expensive. She put up the $20,000 in investment that it took to do this on her credit card. She told herself, I'm not going to have a backup, because if I did have a backup, then I would give up. And so she doesn't have a backup. And then she's forced to make it. So she is committed to it. I think it's very interesting. I love the backstory of being this struggling 3D game character that can't get into a game. And then she herself, the girl who runs this, plays the technician who is interacting with Miko and helping her along. It's great. It's a great narrative. It's a great story. It's well done. The facial animations, the mocap looks incredible. The character is cute and she has these big eyes. It's a very charismatic looking character that you just get sucked into because she has the big facial expressions. It's awesome. You can check it out, CodeMiko. I think it's the future of this online digital entertainment. I think more and more people are going to start doing this, and eventually we will probably see some sort of mainstream show that uses this sort of technology. Now, I will say, I don't know if it'll completely replace, real hosts, but I think it's really interesting, and that when we get into the metaverse, maybe you can have Miko walking around next to you at all times, and you can hear her as she's doing her live streams or see her in your heads-up display. It's pretty crazy. If you want to check it out, I'll also link to some clips from Miko as well. She seems to be a pretty funny person, and also has a stream where she isn't always in Miko form, but in the technician form as well. And then, man, there's so many stories, and I feel like we're running low on time here. Next one, real quick, is new CRISPR technology. If you're not familiar with CRISPR, it allows us to read and edit genes much easier. And there was the kind of the state of the technology was called CRISPR-Cas9, which let us edit genes. But the problem with CRISPR-Cas9 is that it wasn't very epigenetically sound. And epigenetics is how your DNA is passed on to new cells over time. That's called epigenetics. And this new technology, which I don't really have time to explain here, you can read the article to figure out how it exactly works, but they call it CRISPRon and CRISPRoff, and they use a new bacterial vector to edit genes and turn off certain portions of DNA that then actually get passed on over time as the cells reproduce, which is a huge step forward, because now we're actually able to make semi-permanent changes to DNA. The thing is, they also figured out how to relocate those edits and turn them back on. So if they, say, edit out a chromosome that causes Down syndrome, and then they later find out that we need to turn that back on for some reason, they can come back into the genes and turn it back on. It's almost like hiding the source code of life from the copy machine, which is copying it, so that it doesn't copy it and thus it doesn't activate the gene. It will let us do all sorts of really interesting things. It also will open up new science around what happens as genes get passed down. We're not very clear on that. And this CRISPRon and CRISPRoff technology will let us edit those things. Or what it'll let us do is do things like turn off male pattern baldness, so your boy, my kids, won't go bald eventually. Or it'll allow us to, change the eye color of somebody and then change it back to normal later. Maybe we can even change eye colors like that. We can take a pill one morning and our eyes will be green, and then we'll take another pill and we'll change our eyes back to blue. I don't know exactly where this is going to take us, and there's no pictures for me to really show you guys here in this article. I just thought it was incredible for the potential that it has in both research and in gene therapy. I think it's going to be awesome. So that's CRISPRon and CRISPRoff. You can do a little circle in the air like the Karate Kid. CRISPRon, CRISPRoff, CRISPRon, CRISPRoff. And that's how you can remember it. It's this new tech, CRISPR. Pretty cool. Also, a quick story here. Now, this guy on Twitter, Neil Sardessi, made a post on April 10th saying, "Did you know that you can put a game inside of a push notification?" No, Neil, I did not. Can you show me what that looks like? Apparently on iOS, you can actually put a game inside of a push notification. So you see up at the top right, there's a push notification, and he has actually embedded a version of Flappy Bird, the Android game, inside of a push notification. So he just played Flappy Bird in a notification that he got, meaning that one, you can put full games inside of push notifications, which is incredible, but also that means you can probably do other sort of interactions inside of push notifications that aren't possible or haven't been possible, haven't been exploited before. I think it's really interesting, especially in the gaming realm. So let's say that you have an idle game, an idle sim. If you don't play it, it's just a game that kind of runs in the background. You open it, you click a few things, you let it run, and then you click a few things, and then you make progress towards something. I don't know, a lot of idle clickers have some sort of progress that they're working towards. And you could actually have a notification that says, hey, this and this is ready. And actually in the pop-up notification, whatever object is ready to be interacted with could be in the pop-up notification, and you could just interact with it, push it back up, and then continue on with your day. It's pretty interesting. I don't know how else you could potentially use it. Maybe you could also use it for, and I hate to put this out there, but for stock trading. Say you set up some alerts on a stock and it reaches a price point that you either want to sell or buy at. You could get a push notification that lets you buy or sell right within that push notification, enabling faster interactions with technology. I told my friends about it. They didn't seem very impressed, but I didn't think they were thinking very creatively like I was just now. So did you know push notifications can play entire games? I thought it was pretty rad. You can check that out for yourself. And last but not least, we all love lightsabers. I'm sure that we all have stories of when we were kids going in our backyard, picking up sticks and acting like they were lightsabers, swinging them around and making a noise. With our friends, or even making in high school. It got really popular to actually make videos where you could have a lightsaber using some video editing techniques way back in the day when we first had access to it. And then sometimes we turned out to be the Star Wars kid. What an unfortunate thing that was. But now Disney has finally made a quote unquote real lightsaber. Not like the one from that one YouTube science channel where he actually did make a legit plasma saber that could cut through metal, but they made a blade that extends and retracts and lights up. So at the touch of a button, this lightsaber toy that they've made will extend out. My lightsaber sound. And then at another press of the button, it will retract back down into it. And it's actually pretty ingenious how they made it. It's very simple. And this guy on Twitter, Ben Rideau, made a little animated GIF. At least I think he made it. Could have been anybody. And it works pretty much by placing two tape measurers next to each other and then extending in a mechanical fashion and using a motor the tape measure up and then the tape measure down, and with it is extended an LED light strip. And so if you see here in the animation, we can see that he actually used tape measures for the demonstration, and it's pushing a cap up. So the tape measures are kind of attached to the cap, and the cap moves up, and you have the LED light strip coming up with it, which would be emitting light. So it looks like the blade is extending like a light. And then he goes on to say that if you, instead of the tape measure, have a clear colored or semi see-through plastic that goes around in a circle and a half circle, and then the other one, has a similar half radius so that they're touching, and then you extend it out as you see in the video, then you would actually get a lightsaber that's extending. So it's these two semi-transparent walls, I guess you could call it, being extended out with a light in the middle of it, and then ta-da, you now have a lightsaber. And I don't think there would be a cap on it, so there won't be a cap on the end of it, I don't think, or maybe there will be, I'm really not sure. But that's the general idea of the patent that they've created. And in the patent, as we see here, they actually do reference a metal carpenter's tape measurer as inspiration for this mechanism. And they use an LED spool, as I mentioned earlier, and it just feeds up the window with the light behind it, and then you get a light up lightsaber toy. It's pretty cool. We'll be coming to a store near you probably in 2022, next year. I believe they patented it back in 2018. And so now we finally have a view of what the Disney lightsaber looks like. I think it's very cool. I think fans are going to love it. And it's clearly more affordable than the plasma blade that channel made. That's been today's Too Busy Didn't Know. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, throw me a sub and send me to a friend. And check in every Wednesday for this Too Busy Didn't Know show. It's also a newsletter if you look it up on Substack and you want to get it on Fridays in text form. And we might have a new home for it soon on indiehackers.com. But until next time, I hope you learned something good because you know it. I love you.